Right, so this is another video to help out with coding for the point and click adventure games. It's going to be how to do like a key and a door, so having an item collection let you then open up a different object, and without that object you can change what happens. I'll quickly just run through what I have. So basically, if you go to the door without the key, there will be text come up on the screen and the door won't open, right? So door's tight, you can't hit the teleporter, you can't get through, etc., right? If you go and collect the key, then you can open the door. So I'll just run and collect the key and then show you that it does open it, and then I'll show you how it's coded. And then obviously bear in mind, all my stuff is on clicked, which I did show how to do in the previous video, but if you haven't done that, you can do this with walking into. However you set it up, the main thing is using something different. Now I have the key, boop, you can open it up and you can go into the teleporter, right? That's what this is all going to be. So how I've done it is, if we look in here, I've already opened up the three things. So these are all blueprint actors. Obviously we have my character sprite, so this is the main player, right? So the first thing in the main player, there's loads of coding for like navigation, one for integers, which is a different item set, but for the key to door and the statue to the pressure plate and everything that I use where it's a one-to-one, if you need a specific item to do a specific thing, I make an array on my player character. So for instance, I have keys, which is set up as a string, and then make sure you change the one in the player character to an array string, and it's instant editable. So basically it means that you can have this string of items stored on your player and then usable later on. So if we go to the key code, again, if you need to add a variable, by the way, if you go down to your player here and press the plus symbol, you can add variables and you can change what type they are and everything else. So if you haven't done that before, you go down to here, press variables, press plus, and then change it over there. So if we go to the key, what you need to do for the key component, obviously it's another actor separate. So this is the construction script for the key. Again, you have to make a variable for that. Now what you need to do is make sure that the naming convention for this is what you need it to marry up with the other one. All right, so when the variable name is key, it's a string and it's under a marked as a standard single item, so I don't want multiple of them being collected. Obviously if you do want multiple, you can change it. Again, it's instant editable. So the coding for that is, for me, I have on clicked, cast to my player character, so as my player character is the one that's connecting with it. Get player character, obviously previous one, this is my on clicked variation to see the distancing. So if you don't need this, the main thing we're looking for is this bit here. So the way it works is player character, you can even get rid of this if you don't want it to have an if and or a true false or whatever you want to have. So I have it so that if it's player character, I'm within range and it's true. What it does is it adds. So what you can do is you can click this variable, drag it across, get the key, drag across, and then you could type add. Okay, if you add that function or you add that variable, okay, you can go add, done, right? And then what you can also do is you can pull off of here the arrays, search for your arrays that you have set up. So we have the keys array, and then that basically what this will do is when you are close enough to it, it will check the arrays for keys. It will add a key to the player character. You can then run off and you can do whatever you want. I've got it so that it destroys the actor and it basically plays through to say that you've picked it up. All right, so it does that and it hides the key and adds it to my HUD and all that kind of stuff. But the main thing is this bit. It adds it to your player character, okay? So when we go to the door, very similar. First part of coding, exactly the same. On clicked cube, cast my BP sprite character who you're playing as, get player character. Are you close enough? Yes. Now what we do is we check for the array keys, but we check for contains. So if it contains key, so within that string, as long as the player character has the key string, the single one, Then as long as those conditions are met, you plug that into your branch statement, your second branch statement. So the first branch statement I have is, are you close enough to the item for it to work? Yes or no. So ignore that if you don't want the distance. But if you do want distance, you use 2 branches. So as you can see, basically, if you're close enough, it will then check to see, do you have the key within the player sprite character on that string? If false, nothing will happen. If false, it basically says that, hey, you haven't got the key, go get the key. And if you are true, it then delays, takes away, destroys the character. And basically, because the way I've set up my door, it has a hitbox which pushes you, pardon me, a little bit too far away from the teleporter, so you can't get to the teleporter until this actor is destroyed. Similarly, if you were wanting it to just to be, I want to use a teleporter, all you would do is, does this contain it? Yes. Then they can use the code for teleporter, or they can use a code for whatever function it is you want to do. But that's how I've done the key in the door function, basically using strings and arrays, but make sure you have the array string set up as variable in your character. And on each of these, as you make them, they're instance editable. And you just need to keep to the same naming convention on the character as well as the blueprints. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Again, integers are different, but we'll just stick to strings because that's how I've used all my one-off items in this game.